The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is brought to you by Clinica Sierra Vista.
Welcome back to the 17 News at Sunrise podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
17 News begins with a weather alert.
Good morning, Kern County. It is 5 a.m. I'm Alex Fisher.
And I'm Maddie Gannon in for Maddie Jansen. This morning, we're once again talking about the storm. One of the areas set to get hammered is Tehachapi, as the city prepares for up to 2 feet of snow.
So let's go live once again to Maddie Jansen. She is hunkered down in Tehachapi at her home with the latest on the conditions there. Maddie, it looks like it's a winter wonderland up in your neck of the woods.
Highway 58 closed in both directions between Towerline Road, that's just east of Bakersfield, and the Kern County San Bernardino line. It is closed right now in both directions, and no word on when it will reopen. Caltrans says they are working hard on getting disabled big rigs off of that road right now, so they are trying to get it back open. But again, we've got more snow on the way, so we'll keep you updated if it does indeed open today. Those conditions, like I said, were around whiteout conditions, and that's when they decided to close the freeway. Schools up here closed yesterday, and they are closed again today. As you can see, we had some fun with our friends by staying close to home, but those who had to venture out faced some dicey conditions. The biggest issue so far has been the icy roads. There were multiple spinouts and rollovers on Highway 58 throughout the day, and again, the 58 now closed. Yesterday, I visited the Tehachapi Police Department, where they've set up their Emergency Operations Center. City Manager Greg Garrett says they're doing everything they can to prepare.
We're going to continue to monitor and manage the situation. Obviously, our police department is ready to act or react in any case that we need. We're working closely with Kern County Fire Department, also our neighbors there, Hall Ambulance and others, Kern County Public Works. Places like Mammoth Lakes, they're prepared for that. Small towns like the city of Tehachapi, that doesn't happen very often. This is maybe a 100-year event. So we're going to do the best that we can with everybody's help.
And Garrett asked residents to just be patient, be prepared, and stay close to home if you can. They don't want more emergencies happening here in Tehachapi. And if you have a non-emergency issue you need to contact police about, you can call 822-2220 for that. Again, as I mentioned, schools up here in Tehachapi are closed today. Highway 58 is closed. We will keep you apprised of conditions.
The storm breezing through the Golden Empire, leaving the county feeling like an ice cube in its wake. The conditions call for extreme caution from everyone.
Yes, it is predicted this is going to be a bad snowstorm, so we're working closely with Caltrans. Caltrans has gone out. They've put brine or solution on the roadway to hopefully keep ice from forming on the roadway.
Even locals in the area expect the storm to be a big one.
It's going to be a lot heavier than we're used to. This will hang around for a while, especially what's going to happen towards the weekend. Friday's supposed to be a big snow day up here. We're probably going to get a couple of feet of snow.
The best thing CHP says you can do is to be careful and have an emergency kit ready for the worst.
If you are driving and commuting into work, slow down. That's going to be the main thing right there, because the road's going to be wet, it's going to be slick, there could be ice on the road. Slow down, watch your following distance, give yourself plenty of room, because your stopping distance is going to almost double due to the wet roadway conditions.
But if you find yourself stuck on the road during the storm, you should follow this advice.
If you are stuck on the roadway, definitely stay in your car, don't get out of your vehicle. It's going to be slick. If people see you out on the roadway and they hit their brakes, they're not going to be able to stop in time, and we don't want anything major happening.
So as I said before, the grapevine is open, but that does mean that you should still drive cautiously. As CHP just said in the story you just heard, that you should have a to-go kit. This includes emergency materials like extra blankets, food, water, so that you guys can be safe in case an emergency does happen.
Other news of the day now, the Bakersfield Police Department has a youth diversion program aimed at keeping juveniles on the right path to success. The program has successfully gone through its first 2 trials, with more to come. 17's Tolly Anderson has the story.
Here at the Juvenile Justice Center here in Bakersfield, the Bakersfield Police Department has started a pilot program. This is a program for juveniles here in Bakersfield, and it's all about a youth diversion program, helping those that have been in trouble get out of trouble. A program that started a few years ago, but was put on hold during the pandemic. Bakersfield Police Department went to different high schools in the area to promote and invite students to be a part of this.
Caters around kids at the age of 14 to 17 who are first-time offenders.
These juveniles that have committed an assortment of crimes are now given the opportunity to go in front of their peers.
So what we're trying to do is help these kids learn from their mistakes early on, rather than actually putting them to the juvenile justice system.
I want to welcome you to the Bakersfield Youth Diversion Court. In fact, I would like to welcome you to our first Bakersfield Youth Diversion Court.
Kids here that play the jury, and then we have respondents who are being represented for their actual case.
A total of 14 jurors took to the courtroom, prepared to hear both cases Wednesday evening. One juror has the goal of joining the Bakersfield Police Department one day.
Because I do want to make a difference in my community and hopefully help guide kids who aren't taking the right path and just guide them to a better future.
A real sense of being in a courtroom with a great takeaway for everyone and a learning experience.
So you have the mock trial component, you have the respondent benefiting it because they're learning from their mistakes, and the mock trial student themselves will be actually mentored by the district attorney's office.
While the respondents received a sentence created by the youth diversion jury, the jury members received critical thinking skills.
I will get a what it's like inside a courtroom kind of feel, which I will be doing later in my career, hopefully. And I would just kind of understand and see what kind of consequences there are for people who commit crimes.
This is only the start, with 2 more trials set for next month and more to come in the coming months.
We've actually looked at programs around the state such as this, and it's shown that 97% success rate. So if we help the kids early on, they're not going to continue to commit crime.
Reporting at the Juvenile Justice Center, I'm Tolly Anderson. Making headlines around the nation, President Jimmy Carter announced last Saturday he's entering hospice care, choosing to forego medical intervention that might help him prolong his life beyond his 98 years. The opportunity for an extended goodbye of indeterminate length gives the former president the chance to be with family and close friends, and it gives the country a chance to recognize his remarkable life of service while he's still here. 17's Robert Price has the story.
President Jimmy Carter has had the opportunity in these last few days to hear from some of the people he touched during his 10 decades on this earth. And as the nation's 39th president lives out his days at home in Plains, Georgia, comforted by family and hospice care, an outpouring of respect and gratitude for his service to the country comes his way, not only for his often difficult time as president, but for the remarkable contributions of his life post-presidency. Almost a half-century after his election, few may remember, if they ever knew, the tumultuous circumstances of his rise to power, from Georgia peanut farmer to governor of a state deeply divided by racial segregation, to healer-in-chief of a nation riven by Watergate and Vietnam. Carter stunned the political world in 1976, seeking the presidency with virtually no prior name recognition and defeating Republican Gerald Ford.
The Georgia Press Corps, we didn't give him a prayer. We thought nobody knows who this guy is.
Georgia native Richard Bean, retired longtime publisher of the Bakersfield Californian and a former radio talk show host, covered Carter's years as governor as an Atlanta-based reporter for United Press International.
I think the country would, at least my perception was, the country was ready for a change.
Carter's single 4-year term was hurt by economic recession, gas shortages, and difficulty with his own Democratic Congress, and then a charismatic challenger, Ronald Reagan. But Carter went on to have one of the most dynamic post-presidencies in the nation's history.
And he created the Carter Center, which goes around the world funding disease eradication efforts and making sure elections are fair. He wanted to help the world solve problems, and part of that was habitat.
Ron White is the executive director of Kern County Habitat for Humanity.
Sure, he was a huge advocate for affordable housing, raised millions of dollars, but where I would say he is separate from other comparable presidents is boots on the ground. It's great to do those things, but can imagine you come onto a home site for Habitat for Humanity and you look to your left and you're building your home with the help of President Carter.
Now Jimmy Carter is receiving hospice care, a service that helps patients die with dignity, immersed in compassion. It allows those entering the final stage of life to be remembered while they're still here to appreciate it. Beth Hoffman runs Bakersfield's Hoffman Hospice.
Yeah, he's got a big footprint. In the next few weeks, months, days, whatever, his little world is going to find his family gathered around. He's going to get notes and cards and talking about old times and the contributions he's made.
Once again, Richard Bean.
I think you remember him as a man who loved his God, loved his family, and loved his country. And those used to be the three pillars. That's no longer the case. But now, looking at today's politics, looking back, sounds pretty good to me.
In Bakersfield, Robert Price, 17 News.
The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.